Hey everybody, and welcome to week 15 of my vlog for my weight loss with Tirzepatide injections. My name is Jen. You can find me on here obviously at KetosisMom. You can also find me on Instagram at KetosisMom, also at Living Large and Lilly on Like to Know It and Instagram as well. Today I'm going to be going over something that is requested from some of you all from last week. It is traveling with Zepbound. It is summer now at my house. My kids are out of school officially, and that means, yes, it is the season of travel for most people. So because I thought this was going to be a question for many of you, I decided to go ahead and cover it today. I'm going to cover the things that I found about the best practices for traveling with these injector pills. I also asked about traveling with the vials as well, such as compounds, and I'll go over that today also. We're going to go over my week 14 results and how the month of May is looking so far, as well as what is going on with Tirzepatide in the news right now. Let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, I want to thank Solawave for being our sponsor of today's video. I'm trying to get sponsors for every single video that makes sense for you all moving forward. So we're going to be working with them today, and I'll show you a little bit more about their product in just a moment. Let's talk about the first thing that was asked that I thought was a really great topic from an audience member, and they asked, what are your guidelines or what have you found about traveling with these injections, specifically when it comes to out of the country? I myself had not looked into that yet. I do have about a 6 or 7 hour flight, which means overall I will probably be in and out of airports for around 10 plus hours, plus an additional 2-hour drive after that on a trip that I have coming up soon. So I did purchase some things, and I'm going to show you all what I got based off of my research from everything to travel with my injector pen, because I will be gone for over a week. However, I do want to tell you all, traveling within the United States is much different than traveling outside of the United States. And so I want to go over some of the things that I found about travel, specifically when it comes to airplane travel. Now, these do also obviously apply if you're traveling, on a bus, a train, a car, anything like that. So first I want to go over the fact that Eli Lilly on their Zepbound page does tell us what the requirements are for temperature requirements for the Zepbound pen when it comes to keeping it stable. And that means when you have a stability report in manufacturing, it tells you how long the active ingredients or the API ingredients in that specific medication, how long is it good for at room temperature. Now, Eli Lilly tells us that that is 21 days. So my best recommendation to all of you is to make sure that wherever you're traveling, that you're going to be able to use what you're taking regardless of whether you have cold packs or not, and you think that you're going to be able to keep it on coolers. I would say make sure that whatever you take, you're going to be able to use within that 21 days. The other thing that Eli Lilly tells us is that it considers room temperature to be up to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're traveling somewhere that's warm and tropical, you might want to be making sure that you have something that is monitoring the actual temperature of your injection. Even if you're keeping it inside of a hotel room, I have been outside of the country before that when I leave my hotel room, the hotel will turn the air conditioning off in that room, and the room can get very, very hot. Once your pen of medicine gets over 86 degrees Fahrenheit, it is no longer considered at room temperature, and the Tirzepatide will start losing potency. It's going to start losing its effectiveness, and that's not really what you want to do. One thing that you also want to make sure, both whether or not you have this on a freezer pack, or if you put it into one of these little mini fridges that all of a sudden you see it has iced over and you're afraid that maybe your medication was frozen. That's why I say you definitely want to try to have something that's able to check the temperature of this medicine. So I'm going to show you guys my option for doing that I chose in just a moment. The reason that I say that is because if the Zepbound from Eli Lilly becomes frozen, you are not supposed to use that medication. Okay, it can become cloudy, it can start separating, it can start looking like it has particulate or particles in the solution. And every time I do injections, I tell you all to make sure that you're looking for that. You do want to make sure that you're looking for that, because if you see any of that, you do not want to take that medication. Okay, I cannot stress this enough. I was asking my husband last night when I was looking at a lot of the different travel options for these things, if you're putting this directly on an ice pack and then traveling with it, wouldn't that make a portion of it potentially freeze? My husband, as you all know, has been in pharmaceutical manufacturing, research, clinical testing for his entire career. He has experience with kind of how you're supposed to transport these things. Now, I did see on most of the websites that I went to that it does say that it is highly recommended to travel with your medication in its original box or container. And as we all know, the Eli Lilly box is kind of big. It comes in a box of 4. And so I said, okay, so what are you supposed to do? Take, 3 of them out, leave your one that you're traveling with in this box. And then how are you supposed to keep it cool? You would have to have a much larger cooler for that box. And so I know that a lot of people are not going to want to travel with the Eli Lilly box. One other thing to make note on, though, is that your Tirzepatide is also light sensitive. You do want to be shielding the medicine that is in the clear glass portion of the pen from light, because the more light exposure the Tirzepatide has, also it can start losing stability or potency of the Tirzepatide, the active ingredient. So you want to be shielding it from light, and you also want to make sure that you're keeping it within the correct temperature guidelines. Now, for me personally, I have traveled in the past through TSA. I have had to have breast milk going through TSA where I had to have freezer packs. It is a huge hassle, and I mean a huge hassle, in specific airports that I have been to. I've been to a lot of airports, but almost every single one, they want to somehow test the freezer pack, get that out. Because I did not want my breast milk going through their x-ray machines, they were also unscrewing the lids of my breast milk, doing pH strips over it, testing it, and it was just really a giant headache. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to try to open your pen or do anything like that. If you have, basically what TSA and the CDC recommends is to have either your prescription for the medicine tucked in with your medicine, or to have some type of medical record with your name, your birth date, and the medicine listed on there for what you're having it for, folded up and also tucked in there. That way the TSA agent can open that up, see that this is in fact your prescription against your ID, and they can compare it to the pen that is there. They will likely still also take any kind of gel packs, any kind of frozen packs, and do some type of test to those. And so if you have different containers or coolers that you're traveling with that is monitoring the temperature of that, it's probably going to be kind of important that you monitor through TSA, and you don't want them to just leave your cooler open. I have a whole pack that was given to me from when I first got Cosentyx for travel. And I told my husband, this seems very flimsy. I don't know that I want to travel with this because these pens I feel like could easily break. Another thing you want to make sure is that you are putting your medication in your carry-on luggage, not your checked luggage. Do not put medication, even in cooler packs, in anything that is charged that's keeping it cool, into a checked bag. The cabin pressure and temperature is highly variable where all of the checked luggage goes. You for sure want your medication in vials, in pens, whatever you're traveling with it in, up in where passengers are of the plane if you're on a plane, for sure. That little portion that the medicine is, it can bust, and it will bust, and then you will lose all of your medicine, okay? Make sure you're carrying it on, you're not checking it, okay? It will potentially just get taken out by TSA, and then you're not going to have your medicine anyway. Now, I did read that in certain countries, okay, if you're traveling outside the country, it is the CDC's recommendation that you call the U.S. Embassy or somehow contact the U.S. Embassy in that country. And you need to ask them what medications and in what volume you can bring into that country safely, and also what type of paperwork you need to have with those medications as well. Most countries, they stated, will allow you to have up to 30 days worth of medication with you. Most insurances are not letting people have more than 28 days of this medicine anyway. I know some people are able to fill 2-3 months at a time. And even with compounds, people can fill multiple months at a time. However, you need to make sure that you are asking the country that you are going into. You can either contact TSA, have them try to help you with the country you're going to, but it is the CDC's recommendation that you call the U.S. Embassy of that country. Now, someone specifically asked me about traveling to Thailand. I'm going to be just straight up honest with you all. If you have not contacted the U.S. Embassy in Thailand and they have given you specific instructions of what you can bring, what you have to have with it, and then you've also printed out what they said to you and put it all together before you travel, I would not risk it. I would not travel with weight loss medications over into Thailand. One thing that people also are not really aware of is that some over-the-counter medicines in the United States are not considered over-the-counter medicines in other countries. So wherever you're headed on vacation, Greece, Italy, Spain, France, Thailand, Japan, Australia, anywhere you're going, make sure that you are looking up what their rules and regulations are for bringing any kind of medicine into their country. It can get confiscated, and you can also be arrested and detained for trying to bring these items into another country. Another thing that I do want to warn everybody on is that the CDC did say to not attempt to buy your medications once you get to another country or to have them shipped into you either. They did say that in other countries that there is over a 30% rate of counterfeit drugs, and over 41% of those drugs that they were testing outside of the United States that are a drug within the United States that is approved or with or without a prescription have discrepancies in their sterility, in their potency, and they just said don't do it. Don't want to get a drug that is failing quality standards. That's not something that I personally would risk. I know that a lot of people are going into other countries. I saw it on South Park. If you guys have not watched the South Park episode on Ozempic yet, you have to. It's absolutely hilarious. And it is 100% the days that we are living in right now as far as, you know, who can get the drug, how they can get access to it, compounding. I mean, it touches everything that is just satirically true. So make sure that you've watched that if you haven't, but you do not want to just get something just to have it. I personally would try to time your injections to where maybe you're taking an injection right before you leave. However, that being said, if you're just starting the medication, I would not take an initial dose and then leave the country in case you're having some type of side effect. I additionally would not up your dosage, take that new dosage, and then leave the country with this new dosage that you're unsure how your body is going to manage it. So for me personally, that's why I'm getting ready to travel. I'm traveling within the United States. However, I am not going to change my medicine. I'm not going to change the dosage that I'm on. I'm staying on what I've been on for months and months and months so that I can ensure or try to ensure that I'm not having any unnecessary medical needs and trying to find a doctor who can help me while I'm traveling. That's the last thing that I want to do. That's the last thing that I want for any of you. Next thing that the TSA did say is that you're going to want to first and foremost inform the TSA agent when you approach to go through security that you have medication that needs to be checked. You can let them know that it's on ice packs, or if you've just decided to travel with it at room temperature, you think that it would be better to just, hey, you know what, I'm going to take it in a week. I'm not going to worry with these ice packs. I'm just going to travel with it at room temperature, take it within 21 days when I get there. You still need to let the TSA agent know that you have a Zepbound injection. You may as well just go ahead and get the paperwork out, hand it to them, hand them your container that has the Zepbound or whatever, Ozempic, Wegovy, whatever injection you have in it, and just say, here, if you need to check this, I do not want it to go through the x-ray machine. Now, I did read a study from Harvard that says that medications are perfectly fine to go through the TSA x-ray machine. However, I've always been kind of funny about things going through the x-ray machine, whether it was my breast milk or whether it's my medications. I typically just say, here this is. If you need to look at it or screen it a different way, I would prefer for it to not go through the x-ray machine, just because I don't really feel like there's been real studies around the effects of things going through the x-ray machine through TSA. That's just me. That there's probably absolutely nothing wrong with it, just like the Harvard, clinical study or report said. I don't know if they actually did a study. I think they just kind of said, oh, this should be fine. But you do want to inform the TSA officer. You want to fully separate your medication. So if you have a carry-on bag, you want to take whatever container your Zepbound is in with your paperwork out, place that in a separate area, or just hold it out to the TSA agent and say, this is my medication that I have to travel with. Could you please check this and not send it through the x-ray machine? Now, that's what I plan to do when I go through. Yes, I'm fully aware that that's going to mean that I'm probably going to have to get a wand down from security of my whole body, where they're scanning my whole body over. They probably are also going to come and pat me down just because I have this medicine. That's just kind of what I'm used to when I'm traveling with things. If you guys remember, I also have Cosentyx injections that I've had to travel with before in the past. I've traveled with breast milk before, and I feel like the pat downs and the security measures that I get just for traveling with breast milk has probably been the worst of everything. So it's not fun. And they want to test everything. They want to swipe your hands with a pH strip and go test that too. Whatever, just plan on probably staying in TSA for a hot minute while they try to figure out what exactly it is they have to check. You need to remember that Zepbound and Tirzepatide, Wegovy, Ozempic, these are newer injectable drugs. It's not like insulin that has been around for a very long time that they probably know how to check that very easily and keep going. They probably are unsure still, or you're going to have some TSA agents that are unsure still of what exactly they have to check on these and in what way they can check it, just because these are pens. The last thing that you want to do, though, is you need to watch them. Make sure that they are not opening your pen in any way, shape, or form. They're not trying to, pull your gray cap off. They're not trying to somehow get to the medication down inside, because that is what they should not be doing at any TSA, okay? In or out of the country. They should not be doing that, okay? Now, I'm going to talk about some of the travel cases that I did find. And this one right here seems to be the one that comes up the most. It is called For All Family. It can hold multiple pens within here, and then there is a biogel pack that fits in there. They have two different ones that I saw that were pretty popular. One just has the biogel, and then the other one you can plug it in with just a normal kind of phone charger or car charger, and it charges it to actually keep it more refrigerated. However, the thing that kind of threw me with these as to why I personally did not want these is because, number one, there's really not a good way to also attach and keep your paperwork with it as well, unless you just kind of shove your paperwork down into this vial as well. I also feel like this is kind of big and bulky, and I don't really know how heavy it is either. I also feel like putting the pen directly on the ice pack or the biogel pack that's in there could potentially freeze it. I'm not saying that it would, but could potentially freeze the medication, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. I don't want to travel with my medicine on an ice pack and then all of a sudden it's ruined because it partially froze, and then it becomes cloudy, or I get particulate in it, and then I don't want to use it because it froze. Because you are not supposed to use Zepbound if it has become frozen. Okay, now that is per Eli Lilly on their actual instructions on their website. Now, There's a couple of things that I did like in some of the other cases. Now, there's all kinds of travel cases, but I'm going to show you all the 2 that I chose. Yes, I chose 2 because I wanted to see kind of which one I thought I might want to travel with. So the first one that I got is this one, and it is just for a single pen, just for one. It is the hard shell. I have sunglass cases that are like this as well. And one thing that I know about me traveling is that when I put stuff down in my carry-on bag, sometimes it can really get squished and squashed and moved all around. And I don't want to use anything that is flimsy that could potentially bend or break or harm the needle or harm the overall pen or bust the medication in any way, shape, or form. So I thought this one was a good option just for a single pen. Now, for me personally, when you open this up, you're going to see this is a freezer pack that's right here that can come out and you freeze it. And so I'm not real keen on putting my pen directly on this. And so what I was planning on doing was taking something and kind of putting as a barrier between my pen and this, whether it be like, I don't know, a piece of cloth or a piece of cardboard or something, just so that my pen is not sitting directly on this ice pack, because I do not want it to freeze. I don't want it to freeze. I just want it to stay cool and cold. The other reason that I did get this one is because I'm still unsure if I'm even going to travel with the ice pack cold. And so if I don't travel with the ice pack cold and I just say, you know what, it's going to reach room temperature, I'm going to use it within a week, which is well within 21 days. I really just want it to be protected and stay in place and be in something that it's not going to bust in. It also has a nice little pouch right here that I can stick all of my paperwork in. Easily just pull that right out, hand them this entire thing with my paperwork so that they see what it is. And then when they see that this is not frozen, I think they probably will likely still test it, even though it's not frozen, because it is a little freezer, you know, coolie thing. They're going to want to make sure that the gel or whatever is down in here is not something that shouldn't be on a plane, basically, which is fine. But this is the one that I got probably for the travel this time, since I only need one pen on this trip. I got this one just to kind of see how I felt about it. These just arrived today, just so that you guys know, because I wanted to show them to you. This is the other one that I got. Okay, this is a cool bag. It is waterproof material. It is a temperature monitoring one. And so this is the same thing with the hard case on it. And what's kind of nice about this one, because I go back and forth about whether or not I want to travel with it cool, with the intent to keep it at the same temperature underneath that 41 degrees Fahrenheit that's recommended by Eli Lilly. And then when I get there, placing it into a mini fridge, leaving it there till it's time for me to use it. Because if your injector pen comes to room temperature or goes over 41 degrees, basically, while you're traveling, before you can be able to put it back into a refrigerator, you are not supposed to refrigerate it, re-refrigerate it, okay? Because it has already reached room temperature, or it has gone above the 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Once it goes above 41 degrees Fahrenheit, you're getting to room temperature. You just then need to try to keep it below 86 degrees Fahrenheit, and then you need to use it within 21 days. So this is the one that I got, and see, it has a cooler pack that can kind of sit over here on the side out of the way, and then you can flip this over. There's another one over here. You can then put your pen right here in this little guy right here to hold it in place. There's also a zip pouch within here that you can open up to put, you could put your pen inside here. You can put your additional supplies in here, like your alcohol wipes. If you need another little freezy pack like I do to cool everything, you could put all that in here. You could put your paperwork in here. And then there is a layer, as you can see, between where your pen would be and the little frozen pack over here. You could additionally even take this frozen pack and unzip the side on over here, and then place this down into this side so that there's an additional layer between the cooler pack and your pen so that your pen is not sitting directly on the gel pack or the cooler pack. That's kind of my point behind this one. There's lots of little, as you can see when you open this up on the side, there's lots of little pockets down in here for you to be able to store extra stuff and things on both sides actually. So you see both sides, and there's this kind of padding on this side. So I felt like for this one, you could even, if you're doing vials and you're traveling with compounds, which I'm told by Emerge, which I gave you guys the $25 off your first 2 shipments for $50 off total with Emerge. Don't forget, if you're doing the compounded route, you could put your compounds on this side and kind of zip them up. I also found these little silicone like sleeves that are covers that can go around the vial to protect them even more, that I'll also link down below for you all. And then you could put them over on this side, zip the whole thing up, right? And then put additional supplies in here, put your paperwork over here, close the whole thing up. Now this one, I do need to read on how this works, because this right here is supposed to be a monitor that tells me what the degrees are within the case. And so I'm going back and forth on whether or not I want to just say, you know what, forget it, I'm just going to travel, it's going to be room temperature. Or if I want to, as you guys can see right there, if I want to use this with, it looks like the little round batteries right there, if I want to use this and have it monitor the temperature, I might let you all decide what I do. Which would you guys rather see? Would you rather see me travel and I show you during my travel how this one went, monitoring the temperature? I can tell you how long I was traveling for, how long it stayed below the 41 degrees, if I made it there or not, to be able to put it in a refrigerator, or if even traveling with it this way, it still got over 41 degrees and then I had to just leave it out at room temperature anyway. I'm willing to do either one. I'm willing to travel room temperature and let you, the whole time, let you guys know how it goes through security, or I'm willing to travel, try to keep it below 41 and let you guys know how it went traveling with this one. I'll let you guys vote down below, comment down below if you would rather me use the single at room temperature, or if you guys would rather me use the one that monitors the temperature and let you guys know how long this kept it cold while I was traveling. Either way, I think would be good, because I feel like it's going to be very different through TSA either direction I go. And so you guys might want to know how it went trying to travel through with the frozen packs and the whole kit. So I'll let you guys decide on that one. But these are the 2 kits that I selected. Now, I will say that with Emerge, I did message them and I said, can you travel with the compounded vials? And they told me, yes, you 100% can travel with compounded vials, your syringes, your alcohol wipes, everything that you need. What I would say with that is that you still need to print out your prescription through whoever your compounding service is. And I would also print out whatever your medical record note is that says, you know, your name and it's prescribed to you. I would probably not travel outside of the United States with a compounded vial, just because I feel like that could potentially come into question when you go through customs into another country. That's me personally. That's my own personal opinion. I'm not saying that you cannot do it. I'm saying that I personally would not do it. But again, that's just me. So traveling can be really hard. It can be very, very stressful for people. And so that's why I felt this week was going to be the perfect week to go over the Solawave face mask with you all, because this is like a 10-minute spa for your face. I have done a previous video on skincare, and I know that one of the biggest things that I hear from anyone that I talk to about their objections with taking things like Ozempic, Wegovy, Tirzepatide, both Zepbound and mounjaro, any type of semaglutide, is that they don't want Ozempic face. Right? They don't want to lose weight and then have their whole face look like it's sunken in, or it's sagging, or their skin looks loose. So this is one way to be able to combat that. And let me show you guys a little bit more about this Solawave infrared mask. This is the Radiant Renewal Wrinkle Retreat Light Therapy Face Mask from Solawave. So it's Restore, Smooth, Calm, Depuff, and Firm. It is red and infrared light therapy mask. So it's pain-free, it's hand-free, it's also FDA cleared, as you all can see. What's really great about this one is that this entire mask is a silicone-based mask, and it's going to be able to hug your face all over, and it's going to make it much more comfortable. There's two different types of lights within this. There's the red light as well as the near infrared light as well. So we're talking about total appearance of lines, wrinkles, rejuvenating and supporting your overall skin radiance. And you only have to use this for 10 minutes at a time, and it will automatically end, so you don't have to worry about leaving it on for too long. In my last video, I did show you all this Solawave wand that I've been using for a couple of years. So when I saw this mask, I knew that I had to have it because my wand has been doing so amazing with my skin. This feels super soft, super creamy, super smooth, and it's going to be comfortable on your face as well. What I love about products like this is it's super easy, self-explanatory, and easy to use. You get a handheld controller with a rechargeable battery. You get the detachable protective eyewear that you're going to want to make sure that you use. It does have a USB-C and USB-A charging cable, and all you have to do is worry about making sure it's charged, put it on, and adjust the straps to where it fits your face. I can't tell you all the importance of making sure that you are taking care of your skin throughout your entire weight loss journey. I also think that it is very important anytime you are traveling that you also try to take care of your skin. You keep it hydrated. You try to work with the elastin and collagen in your skin. And if you missed out on my whole video on skincare during my weight loss journey, make sure that you head over there and you watch that as well on this YouTube channel. Now I want to go over some things that are in the news regarding Eli Lilly, Tirzepatide, and weight loss medications. The first thing that I do want to go over is that I've seen my first report where doctors are coming forward and saying that there have been overdoses when it comes to primarily your compounded medication. Now, I have seen a lot on the groups that people are unsure of how much of the medicine they should be giving themselves when they're coming in the vials. I personally will also tell you all that when I did this video on the very first compounding platform and pharmacy that had sent to me that I did not use and is still to this day sitting in the refrigerator untouched, there was not clear instructions on how much you should be injecting yourself with what they sent. It was not through the platform that they gave any type of instructions or information. It was also not in with the vial that the pharmacy sent. I had a lot of questions myself, and I even come from a clinical and pharmaceutical background because it did not match what was normally sent to me with my Zepbound brand name pen. So I understand how some people are getting very, very confused because I myself was very, very confused. I remember looking at some of the groups and there were nurses on there putting in and saying, hey, if you're supposed to have a 2.5 dose, then here's a chart that tells you how much you should be drawing up into the vial. And there was a generic chart that they showed for that. I do also know that based on which pharmacy you're going with, whether it's a local pharmacy, whether it's a pharmacy through one of these platforms, whether you're with a platform that also is rotating which pharmacy you're getting from each time, each pharmacy can also have differing instructions around how much of their Tirzepatide or compounded medication you should be injecting. So you want to make sure that you are trying to reach out to the pharmacy directly or the platform or the doctor who is prescribing to you to clarify when you're using these compounds exactly how much you should be using. I think some people are also kind of going through and possibly mixing the compound with the brand name. And I will tell you that on Eli Lilly's website, and also when you receive your box of medication, it does say that you are not to mix the Zepbound from Eli Lilly or mounjaro from Eli Lilly with any other GLP-1 medication, whether it is a brand name or it is a compound. I know some people are doing it. I've seen it in the platforms that people are basically taking their 2.5 milligram from Zepbound and then they're trying to add compound to it to get to whatever dosage they should be on. And that is not a recommendation from Eli Lilly to do that. If you're doing it and you're happy with it and you're having great results, I'm going to leave that to everyone's own adult supervision and decision-making skills, but I will tell you that it is not something that's recommended. I know that some people were saying that whatever platform they're on and whatever medical professional they're dealing with, they have said, hey, you can take your Zepbound whenever you get it, but then if you can't get it, then rotate and take full-on compound then, but don't mix the two. So that's something that I've been noticing coming up a lot in the last week. So that's why I wanted to put that in the news section for this week specifically. Another thing that was kind of in the news this week was the South Park episode that I previously mentioned. I will also link that down below. I would love to hear if you all watched it and what your thoughts were, or if you found certain parts of it to be funny or not. So put your comments down below on what your feelings were on the South Park episode, and what kind of resonated with you or hit a nerve when you were watching that, because I know there was one part specifically that I just burst out laughing and I could not breathe, because we went to Great Wolf Lodge over this past weekend, and the location that we went to, I found out after we went, has had multiple incidences where people are complaining of breathing trouble, and there's a thing known as chloramines that can be in the air and stuck in the air that you're breathing in when you're in these indoor water parks. And even the federal government has had to come into that specific location that I went to try to assist them with their ventilation to help with this. I had no idea that that location had that issue, or I probably would not have gone, because I already have an inhaler. I already have, kind of seasonal allergies. And now I have to be on both a steroid and an antibiotic and an additional inhaler this week, because I developed bronchitis and a lower respiratory infection while I was there. Now, I'm putting that in the news this week because I also had to reach out to both my endocrinologist locally, who is on vacation and did not respond, and my Weight Watchers Clinic doctor and say, hey, when I'm on antibiotics and steroids, I'm not supposed to take my autoimmune injections for Cosentyx. Is there any kind of guidelines around whether or not I should or should not take my Zepbound, my Tirzepatide injection, while I'm on antibiotics and steroids as well? So I sent them specifically what I'm on, which is just, I'll put it over here. This is what I'm on right now. And according to my Weight Watchers Clinic doctor, there is not anything showing that there's any kind of side effects and I can continue to take my injections. So I did wait until I heard from her, and I took my injection a little bit later in the day today, but I still did take it. Today I took it over in my right leg, and I will show you all that in just a moment. Another thing that is in the news this week is good old Bernie Sanders. You know that we've been talking about Bernie going after all the pharmaceutical companies for a while. He is addressing the cost of these weight loss medications for Americans, and he is demanding an answer. It is stated in this news article right here that it costs less than $5, and that's being generous. Probably even less than $5 to produce 1 month's supply of these pens, and he is questioning why it is costing Americans over $1,000+ to be able to get these. He's also stated how much it will cost in Medicare costs if Medicare is to start covering these as well. And I don't think that the government's very happy about how much that's going to cost with them starting to approve this over into Medicare care coverage as well. There's also in the news this week is Eli Lilly. We already knew that they were expanding. We know that they have bought up CMOs. We know that they are building in North Carolina. We know that they have a contract manufacturer over, I believe, in Sweden. We know that they're expanding in Indiana as well. However, they added an additional, I believe, $5.3 billion onto their expansion in Indiana. when they did this addition to their expansion to be able to fully cover everybody who's wanting these drugs and be able to manufacture at the speed that they need to manufacture, their stock price yet again went up. So I really hope if you guys were interested in investing in Eli Lilly that you started way back when I told you guys to in the very beginning, because I believe it's already gone up over $200 per stock price, per share in stock price since I first started telling you all. So hopefully you've been an Eli Lilly stockholder for a while, and this is really, really great news for you. It is slotted by different investing sites that I've looked at to continue to go up throughout this entire time, just because of all the different drugs that they have in the pipeline that we have gone over in previous weeks. I'm going to go over my week 14 update. As you all know, my month of May was kind of here, there, and everywhere. Basically, for the month of May, I had a small amount of weight loss, had my Cosentyx, had my weight gain. Then it took me an additional week of my Tirzepatide just to get that Cosentyx weight gain off. Then I was kind of like, what is the point of this 2.5 milligrams? I'm not really losing anything this month. And here's what I want to tell you all. Be super patient with your body, because it took me the entire month of May with my Cosentyx injection, with me gaining with that, with me losing that back off. And then this very last week of the month is where I have finally lost some. And so I lost 4.6 pounds. Yeah, 4.6 pounds just this past week after taking my Cosentyx injection. And so for the entire month of May, this is how much I lost for the entire month of May after just kind of like, boom, this last week at the 2.5 milligrams still, my body finally kind of got back into a normal routine. Now, kind of the sad part about this for me though, is that it's already almost time for me to take another Cosentyx injection. And so I'll lose, and then I turn around and I gain with my injection, and then I have to go back and try to get that off. Now for me, I'm kind of okay with this because at least I'm not continuing to gain on my autoimmune disease, and I'm still able to move, and I'm still getting the benefits of taking this autoimmune injection. However, what's really sad is that none of my doctors were believing me for a very long time about the Cosentyx making me gain weight. And I went back and I pulled up my chart from where I log my weight on my Renfro scale. If you guys don't have the Renfro scale, you definitely need it. I have weight logged all the way back through both of my pregnancies on this scale, and you all can tell exactly when I started this Cosentyx medication, because there is a spike that goes straight up. That is my weight that went straight up the moment I started taking the Cosentyx injections. And for no doctor to believe me or look at my chart and see that it literally coincided like this, the parallelism between me starting that injection and my weight continuing to go up, completely baffles me, because I had an endocrinologist, a rheumatologist, an internist, a GI specialist, and a GYN who was all monitoring this weight gain on me, trying to figure out what it was. And I kept telling them on repeat that I've noticed that this has started going up no matter what I'm doing and no matter what we're trying to combat it once I started taking the Cosentyx. And it took them until I became the heaviest that I've ever been in my entire life for them to finally look at it and say, okay, I think it is the Cosentyx. And some of my doctors still did not admit that it was the Cosentyx until I started taking Tirzepatide, and I gain weight on the week that I take my Cosentyx, and it takes me that week of Tirzepatide plus an additional week of Tirzepatide just to get that Cosentyx weight gain off. And I'm sorry, but that is very, very sad that it takes that many educated medical professionals that long to listen to a patient. And I want you guys to realize that you need to listen to your body. And if I would have gotten frustrated earlier this month, I would have been like, forget this. I need to move up in this medication. I'm not losing weight anymore. It's not doing anything. When in reality, at the 2.5 milligrams, I'm still not craving food. I'm still not wanting to go snack all the time. I'm still not wanting anything realistically other than whole food, which is great for me, even staying at the 2.5, which I know is just considered the loading dose. But what it tells me is that it's going to take me and my body basically an entire month to see if I'm going to get weight off at the tail end of the month because of my autoimmune treatments that I have to go through. And so my point is, don't automatically assume after 2 or 3 weeks of you kind of going back and forth between the same kind of 5 or 10 pounds that it's not working for you anymore and you need to titrate up. I would say give yourself a minimum of 4 to 5 weeks before you make that decision to titrate up to the next level. Because I see a lot of people going forward and titrating up and up and up. And what you need to realize is that once you get to the 15 milligrams in the Tirzepatide, there's nowhere else to go. And once your body becomes used to and adapts to the 15 milligrams, that's when you're going to kind of stop and start having more plateaus. And so the slower you can go on this journey and give your body lots of time to work, lots of time to wrap itself around this medicine, lots of time to lose the weight and recover from the weight loss as well, the better, not only the better is your overall weight loss going to go, but it's going to give your internal organs and your whole body, your skin, everything more time to adjust. And after you come off the medicines, or when you taper back down on the medicines from wherever you land as your kind of maintenance dose, then the better you're going to be off in the long run for keeping the weight off completely as well. The last thing you want to do is ramp up all the way to 15. Your body gets used to it, you plateau early, and then you can't really figure out how to get more weight off if you need more weight off. I have, when I started, well over 100 pounds that I am supposed to be getting off. And I mean, it's probably more like 130, 140, maybe even 150 pounds. That would be to get down to that, normal weight for my height and all that kind of stuff, which I've never really gone by. I know that when I was in college, I know what weight I got to in college, that I looked healthy. I looked like I had muscle. I looked like I didn't starve myself. I have been in the 130s before, and I look extremely sickly, extremely sickly. I look like I'm skin and bone. My whole face gets sunk in, and that is not somewhere that I am interested in going. I want to look healthy. I want to be healthy, and I want to be at a healthy, maintainable weight that I am comfortable with. And so the slower I go in this journey, I'm perfectly fine with it. Me and my GI doctor had a long conversation about how, hey, the slower the better, because that means you're going to have less side effects, in her opinion. That's not always the case, but in her opinion, she feels like there would potentially be less side effects the slower I go and the lower I can keep my dosage and my maintenance dose. So that is all I have for this week. I'm going to show you all my injection that was in my right leg today. Here you go.
As I stated before, I am still on the 2.5 milligrams of Zepbound. I know that Zepbound is hard to find everywhere right now, so I do want to show you all a tracker that is on, I believe it's pronounced RO, R-O right now, that is to try and aid everyone in locating the GLP-1 drugs all over, and it also lists all of the shortages for you all as well. As always make sure that you're looking for any type of particulate, any discoloration in your pen before you use it. You are going to want to, I personally ice mine, but you are going to want to clean the area and let it fully dry with the alcohol wipe before you're going to inject it. Today I did in my right leg. You can see I have a wonderful little helper there who is a little Miss Nosy Nose. She already has my Band-Aid ready for today, and of course she also wants to push the purple button, so I went ahead and let her do it just so that there isn't any kind of stigma around doing this, and it just is really something normal for my kids to see me doing. And they also know that it is only for me to do in my legs, so that they're not wanting to mess with it whatsoever. So she put my Band-Aid on, and then after that I'm simply going to take everything and make sure that it's over into my sharps container. Again, I did check with my Weight Watchers Clinic doctor who prescribes my Zepbound. I let her know all these wonderful things that I'm taking because of Great Wolf Lodge, and yeah, we will not be going back to Great Wolf Lodge again.
I additionally want to give one more thanks over to Solawave for being the sponsor of today's video. I'm going to link this product down below and also put a QR code right here for you all where you can go and snag one of these for yourself. I cannot wait to see the results that I get with this because my Solawave wand has been so incredible. I am going to give you guys an update on how this goes for me over the next couple of weeks, just like I'm doing with the new IPL that I covered in one of our sponsorships in previous weeks as well. Make sure that you're looking for anything that you're interested in down in the links in the caption below. If you cannot find it or if it's not working for some reason, feel free to comment or send me a direct message or even an email. You can hit subscribe and also the alert button at this channel so that every time I post a new video, you can know about it first. You can additionally find me on Instagram over at KetosisMom. I'm Jen. Feel free to send me messages on any kind of questions or anything you would like for me to cover in future videos as well. And you can also find me at Living Large and Lilly, both on Instagram and on Like to Know It if you are a fashion person, like my Queen of Sparkles donuts today. I know this is probably not very weight loss friendly, but I will tell you all that we did go grab some of the Dolly Parton donuts today. I will tell you all that when I'm having a stall in my weight, like I did over the last 3 weeks, if I go and grab something that I know that I'm not supposed to be having, like one of these donuts, for some reason, for my body specifically, it kickstarts my metabolism all over again, and then I start seeing the weight loss. So personally, I feel like me eating something that I was not supposed to eat this past week is what made me lose the 4.6 pounds this past week. And I have a total right now loss of this much since the middle of February of 2024. So I hope everybody got a lot from this video. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below, and I will see you all next week. Bye, y'all.